and has meaning. Each moment is meant to be experienced and cherished. Welcome to Anxiety Simplified Podcast. I'm Joanne Williams, and I'm going to share ways to refocus this anxiety energy to a more productive and effective way to go through life. You already have all the tools. I'll just remind you how to use them. We'll be tuning into your own power to choose and find more joy and peace. Let's get started remembering this wisdom.
Well, hello everyone. Joanne Williams here for Anxiety Simplified. And I just have a really special guest today. I can't wait to talk about or with Debbie Weisman. And we met at a seminar and I love dream work and I couldn't wait to have her on. So I'm really excited to be able to have her on. And let me just tell you a little bit about her, then I'm going to introduce her to you. And she's got some wonderful credentials here. She is the dream coach, and she's a best-selling author, writer, and contributed to 29 books, including Chicken Soup of the Soul. We've all heard of that one. Dreams and Premonitions. In addition to her coaching work, Debbie is the co-owner of a film and video production company, which was instrumental in the production of dozens of films, including the film What the Bleep Do We Know? One of my favorite movies ever, I think, and spiritual documentaries, Dreaming Heaven. And Debbie is also the best-selling author of over 20 novels. You got to be pretty busy, Debbie, including 5 of the original books in the popular series Sweet Valley High. She credits her dream work with inspiring her to return to writing. Her most recent books include 101 Dream Dates, How to Say I Love You to the most important person in your life. Oh, we got to do more of that. She has her own podcast, Dream Power Radio, and the Dream Power Show. So before I introduce her, though, I do want to just do a little summary of what we're going to talk about. And one of them is why are dreams even important? Or, why should we even pay attention to them? I don't feel like we do enough of that. So I want to know more about that. And how do I, as the listener, figure out what my dreams mean or how to analyze them? Why do I need a dream coach? And I want to hear a little bit more about the reoccurring dreams. And maybe how can one dream change your life? So, welcome, Debbie. I'm so excited to have you here. So, tell us a little bit more of how you got into dream coaching or a little bit more about your story.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, Joanne.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very thrilled to be here. Actually, you went through my resume a bit, and you might see if you paid attention that dream work is actually what I call my third career. And it also goes to show that it's never too late to find purpose and passion in your life. And one of the things you said was I am involved in, film post-production business, and it was actually my company's work in doing the post-production for What the Bleep that sort of led me on the road where I am now. Before Bleep, I was what I would call the typical or just, dyed in the wool fatalist. Things were the way they were. They couldn't change anything. And Bleep opened my eyes to the possibility that we can actually change our lives. And that was just an eye opener for me. And it led me on a years long search for really asking the question, who am I? Not that my life was so terrible, but there was that something I felt was missing.
Mm-hmm.
And it also through the film business, my husband and I worked on the film Dreaming Heaven. He was the co-director. One of the people who was featured in the movie, it was a documentary, was a woman named Kelly Sullivan Walden. In the movie, you don't know what she does, but I got to meet her afterwards and found out that she's, a dream expert. she was starting a series of dream circles. And I thought, well, this is interesting. Let me check this out. And it just awakened me to, what dreams could do for us, what they could tell us about ourselves. And she has her own coaching program. And I decided to take it not so much to be a coach, but just to find out more about dreams. But during the course of it, I had such a series of aha moments, I would say, that just led me to say, I have to show other people that if dreams could have this power upon me, I want to show other people the power that dreams have.
Wow, and there's your name. It's like Dream Power. Yeah, wonderful. Wow. So, I think everybody can identify with some feeling like something is missing kind of inside them. They know there must be more, or I want to know more, but I don't know what to do to find it. And it looks like you found it through dream and dream work, I call it. So I would love to just ask you a little bit more so the listeners themselves can kind of understand it or kind of harness that power in dreams. So did you find that dreams were even important to look into or to pay attention to?
Well, for that, I want to quote one of
Love quotes.
my favorite dream workers, the late Jeremy Taylor, who is a powerful dreamer and teacher. And he said that all dreams reflect our inborn creativity and the ability to face and solve life's problems.
Wow.
And I truly believe it. And I have my own experience to show for that.
Great. I love that quote. And Jeremy, to say his name again, Jeremy
Taylor.
Taylor. And so he really got it. And it did it help you to see that, boy, there's a lot more to dreams or dreaming than you ever understood?
Oh, absolutely. And even, if you think about it, dreams have been a part of human beings since human beings have been alive. I mean, we all recall the story of Joseph and the Pharaoh and the dreams that he interpreted for the Pharaoh. Archaeologists found a Sanskrit disc, and when they translated, they discovered it was a dream.
Really?
Civilizations throughout the years have had dreams as a focus. The Greeks had their healing temples that used dreams for healing. And even in America, the Iroquois nation revered dreams. And I can go on and on about that. But the point is that, as a people, we have used dreams forever. And, then we went through a period in history where, certain religions and certain people tried to say that dreams were evil and to not pay attention to them. And we're getting out of that now. And I think that the more people who understand their dreams, they understand themselves better. And when you understand yourself better, this gets a little woo-woo, but you can understand yourself better and your energy level increases. When your energy level increases, you're more creative, you're more open, you're have less stress, and that has this effect of affecting other people. And so if the world paid attention to their dreams, I mean, just imagine what it would be like.
Yeah, excellent. And I see, I love your kind of timeline you just took us through, because I think we lost something, and I recognize what you're saying more in the Indians. I didn't know all that history way back, but I can see how the Indians use more intuition, looking inside or listening, and that we kind of lost some of that. Maybe it is through the religions of believing only in certain things. I love that understanding. And I also kind of hear the way we use the parts of the brain we use. I feel like dreams are more the emotional, the feeling, the imagination side, and a lot of what we use is that other side, the logical. It has to be kind of concrete, and we've kind of gotten away from that. It is. Do you feel like dreams we use more of our imagination, or emotions in
Well,
it?
this gets into actual brain science and sleep studies. During our waking life, we're talking now, we use our frontal cortex of our brain, which is, the front part of the brain. This is where our logic is. This is where, our everyday thinking is. At nighttime, that part of our brain shuts down. Our subconscious wakes up. And one of the things that we believe in dream work is that our subconscious really reflects our pure thoughts. During the day, when we have our rational mind going, we're filled with so many extraneous thoughts. I mean, my numbers may be off. I think it's like 90,000 thoughts a day we think, and most of them are negative. So, and we're not aware of this. We're just not aware of this. We just go through life, just thinking that's the way it is. All that goes away when we're sleeping. And so when we dream, the images we get, the stories we get, they reflect more of who we really are. And when we come to understand that, we can use dreams in all sorts of ways to understand ourselves better, to solve problems, all kinds of things.
Love it. Just because we were doing this today, of course, I wanted to notice my dreams a little bit more. I've depended on dreams for years and years after doing some dream work. It was more for myself than for counseling. I've been a licensed counselor for 30 years, but I've never, well, a little bit. People will ask and, we'll do a little analyzing of it, but not so much anymore, where I do mostly certifications for people that want an emotional support animal. And this in more of the podcast Anxiety Simplified, looking at anxiety, which I've had most of my life. And it makes me think, as I look through or thought about my dreams, even last night, what I'm noticing, and so I'd love your comments on it. And this has been for a while as I've gotten busier and doing more besides counseling and emotional support animal work, and then the podcasts and some other courses. I noticed in my dreams last night, or like I said, kind of for a while, I noticed the busyness. It's like, and what I noticed, if it's a show I watched right before I went to sleep, the characters in that show are helping me with different things that I've been processing in the day, or working on in the day, or working through in the day. So I'd love to hear you just have a kind of a thought or a comment on that type of processing that it sounds to me like I'm doing in my
Oh, sure. I
dreams.
mean, I think that's, wonderful that you do that. Very often we believe that all characters in the dream reflect some aspect of ourselves. So, if it just happened to be that, it's the characters you saw on a TV show right before you sleep, well, maybe you're dreaming because you just saw them. But the reason you're having the dream is because there was something about them that you felt you needed to access. And so then, if you're going over the dream, you ask yourself, what part of me is reflected in this character and that character? How do I feel about them? And you would go through a whole, litany of questions you could ask yourself to really get down to the bottom of what the dream is telling you.
Nice. So, and a couple of these shows are lawyer shows. And so they are kind of problem solvers, and they're kind of power people though, too, like, I'm going to fix this or whatever. So the aspect of me then is looking maybe for what in a character of a lawyer, would you say? Or do
Well,
you want me to tell you, or how do you do this in your
well,
process?
it would also depend on every aspect of the dream. One of
Okay.
the most important parts of the dream when you're looking at it is your emotional response to it.
Yeah.
So if there's, some powerful person in the dream and you're excited about that person, well, then maybe that's a reflection of, you are acknowledging your own power and you're very happy about that. And you need to, in your conscious life, acknowledge that power in yourself. If that person is, if your reaction is that you're fearful of that person, maybe there's something that you're fearful of, you're concerned about, and you have to look at and try to figure out what that is. So the dreams give us clues. The unfortunate part, I like to say, dreams don't talk to us in the English language. They talk to us in symbols. So, we have to figure out what they mean. And, sometimes we get it right on and sometimes we don't. Because one of the things about dreams, also it's important to know, and this is more for what I would call those dreams that really stay with you. You can have a dream last night, go back to it a month from now or a year from now and still get something out of it, because it keeps on giving more and more and more. So that's something to also be mindful of, because if your circumstances change, your feelings about the dreams will change also.
Would you call that a reoccurring dream?
No, that a reoccurring dream is when you have a similar dream over and over and over. It may not be the exact same dream, but a dream you would call it a similar dream. And when that happens, what that means is you've got some issue in your life that is not resolved. And until you resolve it in your waking life, you're going to continue to have that dream. Because very often people will find, a lot of people will say, oh, I when I was younger, I had this dream, I was late for a test and I kept having this dream. And then one day it went away. Well, could be, you in your life, you resolved it. Something happened and you resolved it. Sometimes though, you need to understand and get to the bottom of the dream in order to resolve it, especially if it's a dream that, we like to call nightmares, that are icky and bother us. We want to be able to do that.
Do you think, I don't know, this reminds me of a kind of a concept I talk to clients a lot of times about. Sometimes when we don't acknowledge something, even in our waking life, it comes back a little bit bigger. I kind of attribute it to knocks on the door. Sometimes there's just a little knock and we listen, we take care of it, it's gone. But then we don't take care, it knocks louder. And then sometimes it's like banging down the door to get our attention. Do you find that's in our dreams? Also, maybe that goes into a nightmare? Would that be similar?
That's sort of my theory about nightmares.
Okay.
One of the things people always ask me or tell me is they say, I don't dream. I say, no, that's not true.
That too.
Everybody dreams. We all dream, 6 to 9 dreams a night, depending on our sleep cycle, but we all dream. And most dreams, we're not even meant to remember. They're sort of
Really?
processing. Well, in one sense, during the night, we process everything that happened the previous day. It's sort of like your mental filing cabinet. So we'll have a dream about it. You don't have to remember that dream. It's just there. And most dreams we don't. And I'll just say, for example, the expression, let me sleep on it. Well, where did that come from? It came from, we sleep, we have a dream, and sometime during the night, we have a dream. We may not even remember the dream, but we wake up feeling like, oh, I know the answer to that problem.
Yes.
If we remembered the dream, we would have more specific clues and more specific details. But even if we don't remember the dream, we still get something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, my theory about nightmares is that we dream every night. Let's say something's going on in your life. It's an ongoing situation. Well, you're going to have a dream about it. And if you don't pay attention to your dreams, you won't remember it. You won't even realize you had it. Next night, you might have another dream and another and another. And then finally, your subconscious says, I've been giving you these dreams night after night after night to help you solve your problem. You're not paying attention. So I'm going to give you a nightmare, which is so scary. It's going to wake you up and you're going to have to pay attention to it. And the unfortunate thing is that even when people have nightmares, they don't pay attention to them. They're scared of them.
Yeah.
They're scared of them, but they don't do anything about it. And if they did, they could be life-changing. Or certainly life-altering if they paid attention to them.
This reminds me, I used to work a lot with children. in therapy. And one of the tools that I would use about dreams is have your coloring book or paper and pencil right next to you. So if you have a nightmare, get right up and start drawing about it. Right there and then, just do some picture and then put it in the box. So there was just an opening up and closing with it, and it always seemed to really help.
Oh, it's true. I mean, just, let me just give you an example of what I'm talking about. So
Sure.
examples always help.
Sure.
So I had a client who called me frantically. She said, I had this nightmare. I'm really, really worried about it. At the time, she was pregnant with her second child, and she had a dream that her baby died.
Oh.
What made it even more poignant was that the second pregnancy came after 2 miscarriages.
Mm.
So she had a child, she had 2 miscarriages, now she was pregnant. So she was terrified
Sure.
that she was going to lose this child. And she's like,
Sure.
help me, please help me. Well, we talked, and in the course of talking, it turned out, she was an entrepreneur, and she was about to start another company with another woman. She was having a little bit of nagging doubts about it. And the more we talked about it, the more we realized that it wasn't going to be a good idea for her to start this business. So, and in symbols, babies represent new beginnings, new things. So in the symbol, her baby dying was this new, not quite grown business about to fall apart. And she realized that, and she realized, yes, I really should not start this business with this woman, and had nothing to do with her real baby. She ended up giving birth and has 2 wonderful children, and, all is well. But it shows you that, you can take the wrong meaning from a nightmare if you don't really sit down and look at it.
And, and I think that may be part of why people don't want to look at them. They don't know what to do with it. They fear that the death is a premonition instead of a new thing coming, or the death of an idea, or the death of something in your life. It doesn't have to mean someone. And I wonder, sometimes if that's why we, are fearful and denying and don't want to see, because we don't understand kind of how to turn that meaning into something that's associated with your life, but in a metaphoric way instead of literal way. Do you find that people think it's literal? It's this in their life?
Yeah, we even have to go back a step. First you have to understand or believe that dreams are important. And most people don't. They just think they're, random thoughts,
right.
And they just electrical brain disturbances.
Right.
And they don't mean anything. And, we have, like I said, we have, thousands and thousands of years of proof to show otherwise.
Right.
But if you're not a student of history, you're not going to pay attention to that and not know that. So, you have that to go with. Yet, once you understand that they are important, that's when you can say, okay, well, let me take a look at it. And when you realize it's important, then you'll say, well, what does it mean? Is it literal? And everything is dependent. Not all dreams are the same. You can't, give a cookie cutter answer to, oh, this dream means this, because it's very, very individual.
Yeah. And, we talked a little bit that you really have a 3-step system though for turning it from a nightmare into a sweet dream. Is that first one is just believing that it is important, or dreams?
It is.
Yeah.
I call it like get real with it. And it's not
real.
so, and it sounds simple. Something will say, yes, okay, I believe in dreams. It's hard to change a belief system.
Yeah.
So you have to be open to it and realize that it does make a difference. So it's not just a matter of me saying, yes, they're important. I can say that until I'm blue in the face, but if you're not open to believing that, it's not going to make a difference. And then your nightmare is just going to keep scaring you. So you have to say, yes, I'm ready to believe this. That is step 1. And step 2 is to feel it. And what I mean by that is embody the dream, repeat it to yourself over and over until you truly, truly understand it. And my understand just understanding the actual incidents in the dream. So you could write it down, take a look at it, read it out loud, say it yourself. And then once you've done that, then you take a look at it. You can write down, what are the symbols here? What do these symbols mean? How do they relate to my life? How do I feel about them? If you could do that by yourself, great. If you can't, then you go to somebody like me who could help you out. But you go through a process, and there are many, many ways to understand a dream. And when I help people work with their dreams, it depends on the dream itself, what kind of process to go through. But you go through a process of getting to the bottom of, what is this dream telling me? What am I supposed to do? And then the most important part is to honor the dream and take action on it. Because it's not enough to just say, okay, this dream's telling me I should be nicer to this person. Well, okay, if you don't change yourself, nothing's going to change in your life. Whatever it is, whatever this dream is telling you, take action on it and make that decision, make that change.
It's interesting, as a therapist, that's exactly the same process for therapy. If you don't believe in it, if you think it's all, hooey or whatever, and don't respect it and don't really respect it because of your belief, you're not going to get anything out of it. So I just found that interesting to hear that process is, it's really life processes about a lot of probably different kinds of categories of things we do in our life. But our beliefs, are one of the very keys, and beliefs can change. And so I think it's about the decision and the choice, like you're saying, to choose, to allow it, to believe it, to I want to know more. I find that really what probably took me into dream was the curiosity of them. It's like, wow, look what's going on up there at night. There's something going on. I have very active dreams, to the point where I did, like I said, I went to a course and I used it and had my dream journal right next to me, and I had to write him down as quick as I could, hardly before I woke up. And so that I did take this seriously. And once I did, I really agree. I think it makes like another tool in your life action toolbox, and that you can use to your benefit, change. And like you're saying, change your life, because once you can understand the impact of these, I mean, some people, it really disturbs their sleep. Even if you're to that point and still not believing it, you're probably going to continue to be disturbed. It probably is a representation of other things going on in your life too, that are disturbing you, that you're unwilling to look at. So this just sounds like another tool, another way. I think it's fun, personally, way to kind of look at what's going on in that noggin.
Oh, that's the other part of it. Dreams can be fun. We talk about like nightmares are horrible things, but you can have a lot of fun dreams. I mean, one of the most popular fun dreams is the flying dream.
Yeah.
Where people see themselves flying, and it's just delightful. You wake up from a dream like that feeling like everything is well in the world. So,
yeah, that's fun. What would you say is there a most common dream, or is there something that you see continually that most people have? Or
well, there are a couple of themes that run through. One of them, like, in the fun part, the flying dreams, like the good dreams of flying dreams. Dreams of being chased is another popular one, especially in nightmares. Being chased is a very big one.
Yeah.
Being in a car is another common occurrence that happens in dreams. Those are just a couple of them.
Now I've got one. I remember as a kid dreaming I'd go to school without my pants on. Is that a common one?
Yes.
Is that-
Well, being naked is a common one. Teeth falling out is
Teeth.
another one. Yes. And yes,
losing
teeth, and something variations on that. Losing teeth, or have your mouth shut, or there's all kinds of things. It deals with communication on some level, but that's another one for sure.
Interesting. The other one, this reminds me of with children that I would use in therapy was, especially if you have a dream that you'll recurring kind of fearful dream or whatever, I would ask them to practice going in and changing the ending so that they were the superhero. They came out the victorious one instead of the victim. A lot of times is what, the dream would be about. I know they found that very helpful, and I play with that one. I love my dreams so much that I can even go in now, kind of manipulate them a little bit to have a different ending. Do you work with people that way at
Well,
all?
there's actually a term for that. It's called dream recrafting. And
Recrafting.
yes, and you can, especially like you have a dream that you would consider a nightmare. That is one way to go into it, and you just ask yourself, how do I want this dream to change? And you go in, you just work with that. What do I want out of this? And yes, you could do that. You don't have to be asleep and re-dream to do that. You can do that in your conscious life.
Like as you're processing it or thinking about or hearing it go, no, I really choose this now, and the end of the.
Yes.
Yeah,
When you're going through
really.
it, you could just say, yeah, this isn't the way I want it to end. I want it to end in another way. Because your mind, it's your mind. It's just that even if you have your dream in your subconscious mind, it's still your mind. So consciously you can change it and change it to what you want it to be. And it actually does work.
And it changes your response to something in your life then?
Well, again, we go to what I like to call the final step in dream work, which is taking action. So once you recraft that dream to the way you want it to be, well, then how are you going to honor that dream by taking an action that reflects this decision? And that's when the dream really sticks. Because you could have a dream and you can write it down and you could say, oh, the dream means this and dream means that. But if you don't do anything about it, it's just words. It's just the story.
Right.
So it's the action that is the final exclamation point.
Yeah. And I like your word respecting or honoring the dream, because it is your mind. It is your brain or whatever, your life. And it must be even that same respect you have for yourself or honoring of yourself that you actually can live out through and finalize in your life through your dreams then.
Oh, yeah, and it's important, and dreams can even help you love yourself better. One of the sad things is so many people have what they call self-hate without even realizing it. That's part of what I call it's like strange, sort of uneasy feeling that people have as they walk through life, because most people don't take the time to do this kind of reflection. Dreams are self-reflection. So when you take the time to do it, and also I say it does take time. I mean, it takes time to write down the dream. It takes time to figure out what it means. A lot of people aren't willing to do that. And I say, fine, then your life is just going to continue on the way you want it to. But, if you want something different, if you're looking for something different, if you're searching, then the time is worth it.
So, Debbie, when would you say that somebody, I don't know the right word is, need to contact a dream coach or you? Like, what would be some of the criteria that people can say, yeah, I really need to talk about this, or talk to a dream coach, or look at this? What would you say that criteria is, or when they should call you?
Yeah, what I do is twofold. First, I help people understand their dreams. So if somebody has a dream that really, there could be some really wild, crazy dreams that just, on the surface don't make any sense at all. So when I meet with somebody, I don't interpret the dream. What I do is I will sit with a person and ask them questions and various things about the dream, or different aspects of the dream, ask them what they think the symbols mean, how they feel about the dream. a whole series of questions until the dreamer gets that aha moment. Oh, maybe
So
this is what
they
it
get
means.
it.
Yeah. And
Mm.
sometimes like, we'll be working and they're not there, and maybe I have a feeling about it. I will always preface it with, if it were my dream, I
Mm.
think this, because at that point, I'm only giving an opinion.
Right.
This is my reflection, and that may make sense to the person. It may not. They may say, "Yeah, I see what you're saying, but you know what? Maybe it means this." We'll have this discussion, and this will go on until we go through the whole process. They understand. They have this feeling of what the dream means, and then they come up with the action that they're going to take to honor the dream. Well, sometimes what happens is the dream will open up some self-limiting belief that a person has. And then the coaching part of what I do comes through. And I have various techniques that I use to help a person understand what that self-limiting belief is and how to get over it. So that's where that's the coaching part of the dream life
Ah,
coaching. So
uh-huh.
it's a two-step process.
I hear that. That's much clearer. Wonderful. Oh, that's great. So what is kind of some things that we want to make sure our listeners understand, and kind of some last thoughts, and then tell us you have an offer too for our listeners.
Sure. Well, I invite anybody who is curious about dreams, if they just want to understand more about why dreams are important, if they have a dream that they want understanding on, if they're wondering whether working with the dream is going to help them with their life situation, I offer a complimentary 30-minute dream discovery session.
Wow.
And you can get to this by going to my website, which is thedreamcoach.net. That's thedreamcoach.net. And there's a little button to click on to schedule one of these sessions with me. And I'm happy to speak with anyone during this time to answer any questions they have about dreams, whether it's general or specific, and to continue on from there. The other thing is, if anybody just wants to contact me, if they have a question, they can email me at Debbie, that's with an IE, DEBBIE, at thedreamcoach.net. I'm always willing to answer questions.
Nice. Thank you. That's a great offer. And I really hope people will take Debbie up on this. I think it's a simplified way to look at something in your life that may be disturbing you and bugging you a little bit. So I think that's a great way to start to understand, and maybe even to continue on to look deeper, or continue to analyze these things yourself if you feel confident. So we always want to encourage people to take these next steps in their lives, whether you are having some anxiety, which I know a lot of dreams, are driving through fear, anxiety, and we need to just look at them with confidence instead of shying away or denying them. I really encourage people to step into it, because I really find, and I don't know if you find this, Debbie, kind of as our last words, that a lot of times people look at fear, and I look at it kind of like the boogeyman. He looks so big and intimidating, but when you really look at him, and he goes poof into a little dust ball, so it's absolutely not as big and as hairy and scary as you really think sometimes they are in your mind. Do dreams do that kind of too with fear?
Oh, absolutely. And one thing I wanted to also say, Joanne, is that we all have the ability to solve our own problems when we look within ourselves. And dreams help us do this. And as far as fear
Mm.
goes, I mean, I think fear is probably the biggest issue that most people deal with. I learned this formula from my mentor, Kelly Sullivan Walden. She came up with what she called the fear formula. Face it, embrace it, ace it, replace it.
Mhm.
Sorry about
I
that.
like it. Yeah,
And,
that's
and that,
it.
because you're right. When you actually look at what it is you're afraid of, but look at it objectively, you find that maybe it's not something to be afraid of. And
Yeah.
if it is, then if it's a big issue, and one of the things I want to reiterate is that I'm a coach. I'm not a therapist. So I deal with people who just have life issues. It's stresses of what life gives us. If it's a serious issue, then you go to a therapist. If you have real depression, I'm not the person to go to for that. But if you're just having like this sort of nagging feeling of, things could be better, well, I can help with that. And I can help you by helping you understand your dreams.
And being curious about them, you can help with that, and opening up that belief and just expanding our own consciousness about possibilities that I can deal with this, and that's great. Oh, I really enjoyed this. Debbie, I just encourage everybody to look at their dreams now tonight and maybe write them down or call or email Debbie or get a session, because I think this could be a really fun kind of exploration and expansion during these times when maybe we are having more concerns or losses or multiple things going on, busyness in our lives. So I think there's a lot of value here. So thank you, Debbie.
Oh, thank you for having me on the program.
Yes. And so please listen to this and make sure you get a hold of Debbie. And we will be continuing our series in the next podcast about how to live that awesome life and finding joy in life in any way you can that kind of puts anxiety in its place. So please continue to follow us on iTunes. And Debbie, did we say where to find you at Dream Power
No.
Radio?
My podcast is Dream Power Radio. My website is thedreamcoach.net.
We'll put that in the show notes. But to find you on a podcast, then they do go to Dream Power Radio to find you.
Yes, if you just Google it, Dream Power Radio. I'm on many outlets.
Okay.
Apple, iHeart, Spotify.
Oh, you are. Okay. So the same platforms.
The easiest way to do it is to Google Dream Power Radio.
Okay. Beautiful. All right, everybody. We'll look forward to seeing you and hearing you another day. All for now.
Thank you for listening. Please support our podcast by rating, reviewing, and subscribing. Please, to show your support. And remember to use and practice a skill we shared today to feel the joys of life. Remember, you can always call us 760-485-6784 for that free 10-minute consultation where we can discuss your next step. Or you can go to our website at anxietysimplified.net for more on how to get certified for an emotional support animal today. And remember to share the love.